Alrighty guys, picking up where we left off, I posted the Sony Xperia Z2 commercial for you so you could see the commercial now. If you look closely, that is actually Michael Jackson underneath the water as the blonde woman. So I wanted to show that the significance of the blonde woman was a real thing. Now, he was sitting out in the audience at his own memorial with his best friend, and he was in drag as a blonde woman. And a lot of people have disputed that, but when Janet went by, she looked at him when she walked past through the aisles. And also when Paris was on stage, and that was the first time that we saw her as a little girl, she was wearing an earpiece and she had a purse and everything, and Michael was actually sitting in the audience funneling her information, just what to say, because that was her first time on stage. She was nervous, and everybody was trying to pretend that they were sad or they were whatever, memorializing their brother and whatnot. So that was the first time we ever got a glimpse of the children and actually heard their voices. So if you look at this, trying to catch right there. You need to watch it on my channel so you can pause it and see his face. This was done in 2014. So if Michael died in 2009, how in the world is he in a brand new commercial underwater for Sony Xperia Z2, the cell phone that they were releasing, and they had his album pre-installed in that phone, and that was a big surprise. And then no sooner than we heard it, 2 weeks later, they were announcing the release of the album. But the album came for free, and if you bought that cell phone, and it was like a $600 phone at the time. And of course, Michael has stock in Sony, so he had plenty of clout to be able to arrange something of that nature. Okay. All right, now moving on ABC, we've got a lot of things going on. The other night on ABC was the movie The Greatest Showman. And if you know about The Greatest Showman, it is about Barnum and Bailey. And Barnum and Bailey is known for hoaxes and The Greatest Showman. And of course, many years ago, we made the connection with Michael Jackson to that. Now, Zendaya stars in that. Also, Zendaya has been in the Spider-Man films, and of all names that they were calling her in the Spider-Man films was MJ. Okay, so that appears on ABC, and if you've noticed lately, ABC has been running the trilogy commercials with the Jackson 5's music. ABC is easy as, the song from the old days. And then Trilogy also did a second commercial, and wouldn't you know, they used a song that are one of Michael disguises that he's using now. I know if I say, I don't even want to say the name, but I'm going to say it anyway. Jack. All right, well, we've got Skeleton Jack, right? Then we've got Jack Crooner. Jack Crooner of the Miami Blues Band is Michael. Now, he has been switching places with this AJ Farshian, who was a doctor friend of his, who naturally has black hair, allegedly had dyed it blonde, but he didn't really. That's Michael in disguise. Now, he's been switching places with him. Sometimes we see this Dr. Farshian, and sometimes we see Michael. Whenever we see Michael, he's the one with the big, pasty, rubbery-looking face, because it's a mask. And if you look at the eyes and compare them, which I know the Believe channel, a lot of people have, I know Pearl Jr. hates that channel. But they actually do come up with some stuff, and she doesn't believe that Jack Crooner is actually Michael. But if you want to know about that, all you got to do is watch the Halloween special. Now, I do a video. It's on my channel, and I revealed to you what the Halloween special meant. And in the premise of that, it was two kids. They were going through cornfields and everything, and they kept meeting these characters along the way. Kind of like what you and I are doing. Going along the way, we've come across Skeleton Jack, Jack Crooner, Surfer Goes from Ashes, Dave, the whole like. Well, basically, it was revealed at the end when the kids finally caught up to Michael at the hotel, Heartbreak Hotel at 777 Jackson Street or whatever, in the Halloween special, Michael said at the end to the kids, before he said anything, he was actually dancing. And when he was dancing, he did one of his infamous spins. And every time he spun around and stopped, he was one of the characters they saw along the way. Okay, so bringing it back to my point in all this is Jack Crooner is one of the characters we've seen along the way, and if you look at all his videos, he always features Michael Jackson in the background, and he's singing Michael Jackson's music in a really bad accent. Now, this is Hollywood, and they got a little thing called voiceover, so Michael does not have to imitate the accent of his friend who's foreign, wherever this guy is from, for whatever country. He lives down in Miami with his medical arthritis medicine practice. But voiceovers, it's the same thing. Movie magic, videos, all that stuff. Green screen, you can make yourself look like anything. They have all kinds of audio tapes. You tape a song and lip sync. We've got, how many lip sync shows do we have right now? Celebrities imitating other celebrities, doing their songs. They're doing the physical performing, but the voice you hear coming out of their mouth is a recording. So don't let anybody tell you he can't possibly be Jack Crooner, because yes, he can. And why would this man all of a sudden look like he has a putty face, a big, thick chin, which he was trying to cover up Michael's chin, and his hairline is interesting. The colors seem to change, and it's this platinum blonde. Like, this guy is a doctor. You really think he's going to dye the hell out of his hair from black to blonde? And then, of course, bringing it back to the connecting the dots, we got another blonde theme. So, yeah, boom, he's blonde. Oh, big surprise. Well, here you go. So, Michael's the blonde woman underneath water right there in the Sony Xperia Z2 commercial that was done in 2014. So, if he were dead in 2009, he certainly couldn't be underwater doing a commercial for Sony, which is one of the companies he has stock in. You got stock in something, you can pull some strings. Same thing with his Dodo commercial, 5 alive, as in 5 Jacksons are alive, and the dodo bird is moonwalking, and he's singing the song, I'm alive, and I'm feeling mighty free today, I'm alive, and he's moonwalking and everything. Come alive with 5 alive, right? And then we find out that the stock that Michael Jackson has in Coca-Cola, well, guess what? They have 5 alive. They own that too. Again, connecting the dots. So are you beginning to see how all of this works? Now, getting back to the Greatest Showman, which was on ABC the other night, had Zendaya in it. She starred in that. And right after that, following after the news, the 11 o'clock news came on, then Jimmy Kimmel came on. They did a rebroadcast, and who, of course, was on it? Again, they had Zendaya, but it gets even better because Paris Jackson was on that same episode at the same time with Zendaya. She wasn't with Zendaya, but she was the artist who premiered her song and was singing. So, Paris Jackson has a new album, Wilted. She went on there and debuted her single. And it's like, if you think it was just a coincidence that Zendaya and Paris Jackson happened to be on the same show, and it just happened to fall as a rebroadcast on the same night as The Greatest Showman, which is about Barnum and Bailey, who's known for doing hoaxes, then please, by all means, show me how it's a coincidence. There are no coincidences. There never were. Everything's carefully orchestrated. Jimmy Kimmel always has guests on there that's associated with Michael Jackson. And if he knows there's a general connection with Michael Jackson, or the celebrity guest he has on there is known to be a friend of or have worked with or whatever, he doesn't even ask them so much about him. He goes right to, okay, what's your Michael Jackson story? You know, what can you tell me about Michael Jackson that maybe the people don't know about? And he goes right into it every single time. So that just happened. That was a nice little Christmas gift, and along with the Eddie Murphy thing, it was basically letting you know that the whole thing is a hoax. And of course, He had to put Michael Jackson and Prince and Elvis's name all in the title. Remember how TMZ used to do interesting things with the Conrad Murray thing? They'd always feature what he was doing, what he was wearing, everything he said to or about Michael's children, and all these funny headlines. And then later, Conrad Murray comes out with a book, and of all titles he could have put on there, he had This Is It, which of course was totally outrageous at that time. People who didn't know about the hoax or just really, really believed that he was responsible for killing him, oh, of course they were outraged. And then you add that part into it, and it was just more than anybody could bear. But of course, Conrad Murray was just a fictitious character taken from a 1957 TV show called The Court of Last Resort, and it's a black and white film because that was in the 50s. And if you pull up episode 7, lo and behold, what do we have? Conrad Murray. And then you got a date in there, July 7th or 17th in that. Oh, irony, accident. Where do you think Michael got all this stuff? So he's basically directing your path. You are taking a walk down the yellow brick road in Oz, and by the bricklayer, brick by brick, he is laying it out so you know exactly where to go. And then, of course, we tie in the other fairy tale. We got Alice in Wonderland. You're following the white rabbit. How many times have we seen a white rabbit appear in a commercial? They're in the commercials. We had one distinctively, I remember, that had, oh my God, what's that guy's name? The little guy. Oh my goodness, I can see him. He wears glasses around, and he's just Spike Lee. Okay, yeah, he was in a commercial, and there was white rabbits in that. And then, of course, Spike Lee not only talks about Michael Jackson and has these anniversary parties for his birthday and whatnot, he also talks about Prince all the time, okay? If it's not Prince, it's Michael Jackson. It's like a ping pong game, back and forth. If he isn't doing a Prince theme, he's doing a Michael Jackson theme. Something else to keep us going. He's definitely in the game, and I don't know if you guys remember the finger snaps. He was talking about the finger snaps in The Way You Make Me Feel. And I went back and I counted the finger snaps, and I was like, I didn't know if it was 5 or 7, depending on how you looked at it. But it got real quiet. If you go back and look at the video, when he's walking towards Tatiana and he's snapping his fingers, it's like everything just stops. All eyes on him. And he's snapping his fingers, and he walks up to her. And she's looking at him like, really? What's about to happen now? And he gets quiet. You have that moment where everything's quiet. And then, bam, you knock me off of my feet now, baby. Woo! And then it starts up again. So that's kind of like control. He's controlling everything. Now, I brought that up because Spike Lee had a headline article just like this about Michael Jackson's finger snaps. So again, he was trying to tell you that Michael Jackson's controlling everything. You know, so when he brings you to that point where everything stops because something you're witnessing or seeing that's totally disbelief, or you're having that epiphany, that moment, like that light bulb moment, like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And the only way this is happening is if he's alive. That's exactly what's been going on. How many times have we had a moment where we just had stopped dead in our tracks because we couldn't believe who was doing what? But if you've been with this little adventure of his all along, you knew exactly what was going on, and it is the coolest thing. I mean, once you realize and you see, and this person does one thing and the other celebrity matches it, and it all comes together, it's almost magical. It's just like you're teleported to another world. Like, wow, you know what? And who has the ability and the power to be pulling strings like that? Well, of course he did. And he's bought up enough things. Let me see if I can stop this. Hold on.
And everyone can do it. It's from Optum, a healthcare company that's
Okay, wait a minute. Commercials. Okay, I gotta turn that off. Anyway, yeah, he has the ability to pull strings. He knows everybody in Hollywood. He knows everybody in the music business. He's the greatest entertainer there ever was. And who's going to turn Michael Jackson down for a favor? Absolutely nobody. And then the favors he can't call in, the other things he can have an influence in because he has ownership, which means he has say so in the matter. And of course, a lot of it's orchestrated through the family as the estate. But hey, he has a direct line to all these people in the business because, if he's pulling strings at a moment's notice, he's got to have some kind of contact with them, unless everything was prearranged. But I mean, how many years in advance can you prearrange everything? And then we know that when we find out about a movie coming out or TV show or a court date, like when he was on Facebook, he was, what was it, the Five Alive page? He seemed to know all the dates that were coming up for the Conrad Murray trial long before they happened. Now, he had to be somebody or somebody on the inside to do that, right? It wasn't just some random thing. And of course, everything matched, just as he said. And everybody, once they catch on, they flock to the page. And then what does he do? He disappears because he gets scared off. He doesn't want to get caught. I mean, he is, after all, pretending to be dead. So you're going to go through this much trouble to orchestrate all this stuff, and you're pretending to be dead. You ain't going to be walking around trying to get caught. When you are walking around, you're parading around in a mask as somebody else. And irony of all this, remember when Behind the Mask, they were doing the video, and they wanted everybody to participate in it. And, you did your little segment, send it in or however that worked. And now all of a sudden in 2020, this virus comes from nowhere. And what is going on? Everybody's wearing a mask, literally behind the mask. And of course, how many fights have there been or arguments have there been? Is this a real virus or not? And then you got Trump, as crazy as he's been acting, talking about fake news and hoaxes. How many times has that man said this was a fake news, that was fake news, this was a hoax, that was a hoax? And he made sure it was caught on tape and his behavior was totally bizarre, so everybody would be paying attention. All eyes on me, just like Tupac, all eyes on me. So there we have it, people. And I don't know what else I've got here. I'm doing some things, and I'm polishing up that video. It is coming. It is going to be the BAMS Day video, and yes, I am going to show you when it's coming. So hold tight. I know you've been waiting forever. You're anxious about it, but what I want to say to you now is go ahead, live your life, do your thing. I know we can only do so much sitting at home, but being at home like this really is a great opportunity to do a lot of other things that maybe you normally wouldn't be able to do. Because if you're working a 9-to-5 job or whatever your hours are full time, trying to keep a roof over your head, make that money, you come home, you sleep, you're tired, get up and do it again. Well, this is an opportunity that you have to do almost anything you want to do at your home. If there's a project you want to work in, there's something you want to start your own business, you always wanted to spend some more time with your family and your kids, maybe rekindle a romance or get to spark the flames with your husband, or if you're single, revamp your style, your look, whatever. For those who are creative, like making videos like I do, I'm working on my singing. I'm trying to get some music together. I want to do some videos and release some music, that everybody will be able to hear. So I got to polish up my act. I mean, I fool around a lot with the karaoke stuff and everything. That's all fun and games, but I do sing seriously. I've had my own bands, and I've sang with other bands and performed everywhere in here, in the U.S. and in Canada and stuff like that. But that's a whole nother world. So making videos didn't come about until 2009. I mean, I really didn't think that much about only videos I was interested in making was my own music videos, but I didn't even do that. I got caught up in life, and you're doing other things. That's what happens in real life. But again, as I said, we're sitting at home, we can't leave to stay in quarantine. If you want to live, come with me. Come with me and stay your ass at home, right? Pardon my French, but yeah, I don't use profanity too much. I really don't care to carry myself that way. I have dignity and class and try to do the right thing. That's old school, but hey, I'm not that young. But yeah, so anyway, it is what it is. So if you like these videos, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you know exactly when my videos hit, and invite your friends and family that you've told who probably think you're crazy and said Michael Jackson ain't alive. Well, I'll tell you what, let them come look at my channel and watch my old videos, and I'm gonna have a lot more new ones coming in. And if they really, really get into this thing, they're gonna have to start from the beginning, because you know, like I do, if you've been along for the whole ride, there's just too much material, too many incidences, too many events, too many weird things, too many twists and turns. The family has done stuff, the family's still doing things. And don't think for one moment, just because things are quiet, that nothing's happened and it's time to give up. It is not time to give up, and more is happening than you know. A lot of things are done behind the scenes, and you know, this year has been eye-opening. 2020, as I said, and a lot of things that are going on in the world right now seem really shocking, but all of this stuff was destined to happen right now. I mean, some of it is the cabal is falling apart. These people who are behind the scenes control everything, the government, deep state, whatever you want to call it. These people who have been operating under their own nefarious plans that they have for people, the world, or whatever. A lot of it is being discovered, and you're finding out the conspiracy theories and stuff are actually the truth. So it's not so far-fetched. I wouldn't call it Illuminati or whatever, but you can, you can call it whatever you want. But a lot of times they do this stuff in plain sight, and because people don't believe in this stuff, they get away with it. It actually is what you're seeing is the real thing, and you don't think so, because you think it's just a bunch of horse shit, right? That somebody is telling you to either yank your chain or make videos to get clicks, whatever. But I always say keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut, and you learn a lot. And I don't discount anything, and if anything sparks my curiosity or I want to know the truth in it, I go and I seek it, and I usually find it. Because once you start looking for something, doors start opening where you wouldn't even believe they would. And I do strongly, again, stress that I believe in the law of attraction, and there's definitely something to that. I mean, there's a lot of mysteries in life, in the universe, we may never know the answers to, but if you go seeking the answers for some things, you really do find them. So sometimes the key is just to try. Don't give up, and don't discount, and don't say, oh, this can't possibly be, because a lot of things exist that you would never even believe exist. They really do. So, but now we are living in interesting times, strange times, dangerous times. There was some kind of explosion, I think, in Nashville. I don't know if there was a bomber or what. It's just like, oh my God, if you turn on the TV, you don't know whether to be, after you're done, you're either scared, anxious, total shock, disbelief, excited, depressed. I'll talk about a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, this stuff that's happening in the world right now is utterly, utterly mind-blowing. But yeah, it's happening. Some of it's happening in real time. Some of it's not. And you have to know that all the stuff that we see in the media, some of it's true and some of it's not true. The trick is trying to figure out which is which. And all the stuff that we do see that's on our TV, for instance, and the videos that come out later, maybe on YouTube, is all orchestrated by 6 to 8 companies. We know the major networks, 6 to 8 of them. And if you can believe that 400 people in the United States own about possess half the wealth of the whole U.S. population, that is just unbelievable. And of course, with money comes power. When you have money, you can move a mountain, okay? Literally and figuratively speaking. Trump has signed the COVID relief bill. So everybody who lives in the U.S., you should be getting your $600. If they do push the button on that, for those who have signed up electronically and you got your money on a debit card and you registered it with irs.gov, I believe, you should get your money, I guess, sometime between the 6th and the 8th, unless something weird and strange happens. But Tomorrow, which is Monday, they're having another standalone bill, I think, in addition to this for $2,000. Bernie Sanders has been pushing for it. So right now they're releasing billions in aid, which I guess, I don't know, maybe some of that overseas aid and some of those weird, like Asian carp protection and all this crap is probably still in there. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I don't know if maybe Trump might have pulled a fast one and pulled some of that stuff out and went ahead and signed for the 600. But Bernie Sanders and a few of the other good guys who actually do care are trying to push for more relief, and it's out on the table now. I mean, all the cards are on the table. How the heck can they string people along for months and months and months, knowing damn well that they couldn't work because we have to get this virus eradicated, and it literally is risking your life every time you go out. You can't make people do that, and you can't yank them around one day. Okay, you can. You have to stay home right now, and if you go out, you have to wear a mask. Well, then you go out to your job, and then a bunch of people get infected, or one person gets infected. Then they turn around, they shut the shit down again, and we're all back to square one. And then we've had 333 U.S. deaths, and I don't know about the ones around the world. I mean, that's nearly approaching 500,000 people dead. That's just crazy. And to think it all could have been avoided. So, and then of course we just had the holidays. People actually went out for Thanksgiving, and then this virus surged, and then now they said there's just as many people who traveled to go spend Christmas with their families, and it's like, with all the technology we have right now, and people are so glued to their cell phones and their tablets and their laptops and whatnot, they could have virtually celebrated in the spirit of making the sacrifice to save everyone's life. You would think, right? But people are selfish, and they're defiant. They think they're defying the man or defying the government by doing what they want to do. It's like, yeah, you're defying the man, and at the same time, you could be putting yourself in an early grave. Talk about stuck on stupid. I don't even want to go there because, one, it pisses me off because they're putting everybody else's life at risk. Because if you're going out and you're spreading this stuff and you're asymptomatic and you don't even know you're spreading it, you spread it to one person, that person doesn't know they have it because they're out there just like you, and then they go and they hang out with their friends, and their friends hang out with their friends, and so on and so on and so on. The next thing you know, a few turn into a couple of hundred turn into a couple of thousand. Are you getting my drift now? This is total insanity. And then going to sit and turn around and whine about having to wear a mask? Well, you wouldn't have to wear a mask if there was no virus, right? So, duh. I'm like, well, stop me here. Stop me now, because I don't even want to get on a roll on that. I'm not being negative. I'm just simply stating the facts, the obvious, the truth. And if people can't be mature about this and discussion or responsible for their own actions and just sit down and think about it logically, I'm like, okay, remember when we were dealing with AIDS? It's like, and they said, when you sleep with somebody, you sleeping with everybody they slept with. Well, shit, it's the same freaking thing. Yeah, well, you're terrified of AIDS. You don't want to get, so everybody's using condoms and practicing safe sex, or even more abstinence, right? There's no difference. There's no difference, is there? Explain to me how it's different. It's not. So if you go out there, you could be risking your life or spreading this stuff and putting other people's lives at risk. So people, if you can, stay home. Go out and get your food and come back. Get enough groceries to last you for a month if you have the money. If you don't, sit tight. I mean, they got pantries and stuff that will deliver to your door. Or you can get in your car and drive up and go get it. Have you seen the food and bread lines? They're not even standing in line. They're sitting in their cars waiting, and they're putting food in people's trunks. But do what you got to do. I mean, I can't speak for everybody. This has been a good year for me. That's probably one of the best I've had in a long time. The only bad thing that happened is I think I lost my cat. My cat died, at least I think it was my cat. Really weird. I was waiting to bring her here because I moved, and she's a black cat with a white spot on her chest. Well, something really weird happened where there was an identical cat to her around the house too. So when my ex-roommate called me and said something was wrong, she was flat on the porch, and he came and got me at night, like 10 o'clock at night. And I got over there, and I'm like, even though it kind of looked like her, she was really small. I'm like, there's no way she shrunk up like this, even if she wasn't eating. And I'm like, well, anyway, she died, but I don't believe it was my cat, because she was acting really weird. I mean, I know when an animal's dying, it just kind of likes to go off somewhere by itself and doesn't want to be bothered, but she acting like she was scared of me. So I don't know, and I'm very intuitive, but I was just too emotionally close to what was happening to really see clearly. But the one thing I did notice is she was just way, way, way too small to be my cat. You know, even though she had the little white markings on her chest and everything. But I had her on my bed, and I was feeding her with a little baby spoon and cat food and putting water in her, make sure she wasn't dehydrated. This was in September. This didn't just happen. And but I'm so heartbroken over it. I wanted to have her here at our new place, and it didn't happen. And then it kind of hit me at Christmas because I'm here by myself. But I don't want to be a downer, so I'm just letting you guys know I've been through a lot of stuff too. You know, even though I always sound happy and perky, I try to stay positive and do what I can and try to lift people's spirits, even if mine is down. That's just how I am. I've always been that way. But anyway, let me change the subject because I feel like I'm tearing up. Don't want to do that. I've cried enough. God knows I've cried enough. But other than that, this has been a pretty good year for me. I've turned my situation around, have my own place again, and it's a long story. I was living with somebody, and oh my God, it was just a bad scene there. And a few people I had met earlier, like a couple of years ago, I guess they thought I was like a depressed person. I'm like, I'm not depressed or anything. I'm just upset with this situation. And there's a few of you who know what the situation was, and it was more than I could bear. And I just, oh my God, I had to get out of there, and it finally happened. Finally got everything straightened out. So now I'm excited. It's my new place, and I'm painting, decorating, and planning, and fixing it up the way I want. And it's so peaceful and quiet here. Finally getting my bearings again, you know. And I'm trying to keep up with this hoax too, but things have calmed down. It's like things have come in waves. And right around Halloween, Michael was putting some stuff out. He just gave us the impression that he was ready to do something. Now, I know that wasn't the time, but the way he was on a roll and things kept coming out, I'm like, oh, it just felt so much like it was going to be that time. Now, there is something to that, and he didn't delay it, but he was hinting towards when it was going to be. So that is the thing that I am going to be revealing to you when you see the BAMS Day video. Once you do, you'll